Atomic Heart was released less than a month ago, and the developers have already confirmed that a sequel will be made. Today we'll be looking at all the info we know about Atomic Heart 2 and the future DLCs for the game. First, let's start with the DLCs for Atomic Heart. There will be a total of 4 DLCs, each one of them adding new weapons, locations, puzzles, enemies, and expanding the game's lore and story. Let's start with the weapons. For now we have footage of only 2 weapons that will appear in the DLC. Both of them were featured in the story trailers, but were eventually cut out from the base game because the developers thought that there were too many weapons. And I think they are right. The game is quite short and there are so many weapons you can't even have all of them in your inventory, so you will obviously miss out on some. The first weapon looks similar to the vdnh that we have in the game right now, but we can see that the blades are made from some sort of soft material. And you know what other soft material is used as a weapon? The ballerina claws. They always change state between razor sharp claws and elastic whips, and I think this would be a very interesting concept for a weapon. Also we can see that it has some sort of interaction with the candle, and either it will use the candle's energy instead of regular energy, or it will gain new abilities, but in both cases it uses the candle as a combat resource, and I really like that, because for now in the base game the candle was only used in puzzles. The next weapon is more straightforward, because we have footage of it actually attacking. We can see that it will behave like some sort of spear during its regular attack, and like a giant pair of scissors cutting enemies in half during the power attack, that you need to charge similarly to all other non-special heavy attacks of melee weapons. Also, there is one small detail I want to point out, is that this weapon reaches enemies that are affected by the mass telekinesis skill, because normally you cannot reach them using normal melee weapons. So it has extended range, which means it will be somewhere between the regular melee attack and the special ranged attack, making it a good alternative against hard enemies that is also not using up your energy. There's also a third weapon, but the only information we have is this screenshot from the official Atomic Heart website, which reveals to us that it will probably behave like some sort of plasma gun and probably use energy, although then it will be quite similar to the Dominator. But I guess we have to wait and see. We have guns, now we need something to test them on, so let's talk about the new types of enemies coming with the DLC. There isn't much information, but the developers said that they are adding a Tesla robot and they need Elon Musk's permission in order to do so, which means that it will be somehow related to the real-life car. Another robot that will be added is called Dixie, and according to the Reddit post, the developers are figuring out how to make him work, which shows that this robot wouldn't be a regular melee robot like a Vova, but he will have some unique abilities and interesting mechanics, like the medic bot for example. But most importantly, it was announced that military robots were going to get added. And as you probably remember, after the Dewdrop fight, Charles will say that the military robots are even tougher than the boss you just defeated, which means that we will certainly be seeing more robots that utilize advanced weaponry like the Natasha and the Hedgie bosses. And we might even be getting some regular enemies like that as well, because for now all enemies in game have been robots whose purpose was to be disguised as peaceful robots, so they couldn't go crazy with the guns. But military bots will be able to have something like miniguns instead of the arms, but again, the only real way to find out is to wait until the DLC is out. Next, moving on to new locations, we know even less. Actually, the only information the developers gave us is that there will be no winter location in the next DLC, although it might appear in the second or third DLCs. But what I've noticed is that if you count the number of testing grounds, you will notice that some of them are missing, which means they will appear in the future DLCs, with loot wagons that will contain upgrades for the cut weapons. This also confirms that the map will be still in the middle of nowhere, so don't expect to see big cities like Moscow, but they might appear in Atomic Heart 2. Although I don't quite understand after what point in the game Atomic Heart 2 will take place, because I don't think that the devs will manage to drag out Charles' story till the second part. Also, the true and canonic ending is the twins ending, and I have a few reasons for this. First of all, the devs confirmed it. Yep, the bad ending is canon. So we'll be seeing Charles in the future DLCs, but certainly not Atomic Heart 2. At least I don't think so. And also the developer said that there is no good and bad ending, the main idea is how you feel about it, which is quite strange because there is clearly a better ending. It's not good, but it's better than the canon one. Another returning character will be Granny Xena, because she is the only character we have next to no information. Who is she working for? Why does she have so many guns and access to secret telecommunicational channels? Hopefully, all these questions will be answered in the DLCs. Some people might think that Dr. Filatafa will also return because there are some theories that she survived, but I really don't understand how she managed to survive in a small elevator when an entire military squad in a giant facility didn't. Another returning character we'll be seeing is the twins. I know that you have defeated them, but even despite the fact that they appear to be dead or at least partially destroyed, they still appear in the scene after the credits, and it wouldn't make much sense to remove the most popular character from your game. It's as if CDPR removed Geralt from The Witcher 3, it just doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint. Speaking of business, did you know that only 2% of people watching me right now are subscribed, so make sure to subscribe. And the final topic we are going to discuss are the puzzles. There is no info given to us about the puzzles whatsoever, but I have some ideas related to the door locks. Normally the door locks have 3 holes for 3 locks on them, but we never get to see triple locks. The maximum difficulty level of a door lock was always a double one. Also, I think that the third lock will be another puzzle harder than the other 2. It really makes sense. The first one requires no thinking but getting the right timing, and it is always on the left of a lock. The second one requires the use of logic and planning ahead, and it is always on the right hand side of the lock. So the bottom hole will be filled with an even harder mini puzzle you'll have to solve in order to unlock the door. In addition to this, the overall difficulty of locks will increase. Not to the extreme degree of this door, for example, but still a bit harder than the regular ones. And I also think that the magnet puzzles will reappear in future testing grounds because they are pretty much everywhere at this point, and they're quite interesting. And also new songs from the Soviet Union will appear alongside the second volume of the official soundtrack. So that was all. If you want to see more Atomic Heart videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Or if you want to see daily Atomic Heart videos, you can always check out my second channel. Thank you everyone for watching and have a great day.